Welcome to the new session of about agile testing. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes and then we'll start the session. All right. So you're able to see the screen and my voice is clear, right? Enough. Okay. Hi Malkar. Hi Kalyani Vamshi. Okay. All right. So before we start, right, we'll just start with the what do you say? A quick poll so that I would like to understand the audience as well. Okay. So I'll be posting couple of questions. Please answer them so that Okay. Vamshi, can you answer to the poll? Another 10 seconds before we close this. All right. That's a good count. All right. So the next question is, okay, you got 30 seconds to answer this. Mhm, 25% voted. All right. Another 5 seconds. Oh, you had a chance to select only one? Okay, I'm sorry for this. You can select all. Yeah, I'm sorry. So if anyone feels it is all, you can reply on the chat as well. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just gave a single select. It's a multi-select actually. All right. So I see many one saying all. Okay, right, got it. So I'm closing this, but still only 72% responded. Others, they are not aware of it, or how is it? Okay, I'm closing this one. The next one is, okay. You got 40 seconds to answer this. That's a good number. Yes. Another 5 seconds. Mhm. Okay, I see at least 5 to 6 people not responding. Is it because they're not able to see the poll, or how is it? Yeah, sure. I'll share the results. Okay. All right. And the next one is, okay. You got another minute to answer this. Hi Kushal. Any issues? Hmm. I see 30% answering as it's not for testing. Okay. All right. Another 5 seconds to close. Okay. Everyone answered. So I got 29% saying that Agile methodology is only for development, not for testing, and 71% said it's false. So the answer is 71%. Okay. So Agile. Okay. In the session, we'll have a detailed discussion about it, but the answer is false. It is used for both development and testing. Okay. The final question for all of you. There's one more question here. Okay. You got another 45 seconds to answer this. Hmm. Under 10 seconds. Last 2 seconds. Yes, done. So I see 47% already working in software industry and 53% are not yet working. So that's nice to hear. And last question, 30 seconds to answer. Oh, I see 70% who are already working on Agile or having a knowledge on idea about Agile. Okay. I should ask the last question then. Okay. Post. Are you working in Agile environment? Okay. The last question for you guys. One last question. Okay, last question. You got 30 seconds to answer this. Okay. Okay, cool. So I see from this, many of you are experienced. Many of you know about Agile, but you haven't worked on Agile testing. I mean, Agile methodology. I mean, in an environment where we got Agile. Okay. And many of you are aware that it's only for, no, few of you are aware that it's only for development. But few of you are aware that it's both for development and testing. All right. Okay. So let's start. Okay. Are you able to see the screen? Yes. Okay. All right. So now let's say we have the development models. We got a list of development models that already are happening. Okay, that are already in use in the software industry. So to name a few are waterfall model, V model, incremental model. Okay. Now the advantage and disadvantages of there are advantages and okay, not able to see this. Yeah. Are you able to see the screen now? Okay, all right. So we got multiple development models. Now, when I say development models, it is both development and testing. Now, how many of you agree with only development and testing and nothing else is there? No other team is involved in this development models? Yes, no? If yes, what are the other teams that are involved? Okay. Okay. Many of you are not sure. Okay. Okay. Business, UAT, QA. Okay. So apart from development and testing, we got multiple teams like backend support team, which will be involving like customer care, just like customer care, right? And the business analyst who will give the knowledge about the requirement. Okay. And we have architects, both the dev architect and testing architect. When I say development, right, it can be UI, database, data warehouse, and other areas of software. Okay, testing is all areas of testing. All right, and then we got build and deployment team, right, who will be doing the builds and deployment for us, right? Right. So when you take any of the models, what is that happening on a high level? The BA or client gives the requirement to the respective teams. Like if I have a UI change, both UI developer, say suppose example UI change, okay, this is impacting the database as well. So how many teams will be involved? UI team, UI developers, UI testers, database developer, and database tester, and on top of it the build and deployment team. Now typically any software development company or any client typically follows two types of model. One, onshore development and testing, offshore development and testing, onshore development and offshore testing. Now under testing also you got onshore testing and UAT or BVT testing done at the offshore, or offshore will do the actual functional testing or DV testing. Only at onshore you will be doing the UAT or BVT testing. So if you see, if we are doing in this way, there's a time gap and overlap time is limited. Agree? How many of you agree with this? Have you ever faced this kind of problem? How many agree with this? Yes or no? Yes, right? Now what's the solution for this? What is the solution? The best solution do you think for this is, I want proactive answers from all. Not sure. Okay. Common platform for communication. Okay. Check regressions. Do it both at one place. Okay. More communication. Yes. Daily status meeting. Okay. So if you see everyone, yeah. So most of the answers are combine it at one place or have more communications, right? So everyone is agreeing to this. So whatever is the model we are following, daily scrum meeting, Bhumika, okay. So whatever is the model we are following, it is not problem. I mean, it is not intent. It is not. Sorry, it doesn't intend to give a wrong code, right? Its purpose also is to give. Its intent is is to give perfect end product. Okay, whatever is the model we are following, but the way we are doing is having some problems. So these, if we overcome, then it will help us in giving effective or quality product. Okay, so to list out, time overlap is not present. Second is communication is not effective, because if you see person face to face, then only we can do many things, right? In the sense, if you have a person nearby, it is always better to pose the questions immediately, get the answers immediately, right? But typical in this onshore offshore model, it is not that easy to get it done. Even if you are in onshore also, if it's a bigger team, a team of 200 to 300 at least, right? There are teams where there are almost 1000 to 2000 also. Okay. Now in that case, getting a solution or getting an answer is not that easy. All right. Also, if we have a bigger release happening, the end product might fall back and the entire effort is wasted, right? So have you ever worked in such kind of projects? Okay, I see all no, but I have worked in a project. Uh, it's a, what do you say? Uh, it's a travel domain. It's in travel domain, wherein what happened is there was some booking application that has to be developed. It's a piece of code. I mean, part of the requirement is you can book a flight using the application. Now the purpose was to only get it done in, sorry, the purpose was to get it done or up and running in all the browsers. Okay. Now the development started only with IE. Developers and testers, because of the little information or the requirement was not clear, it was only working on IE. And at the time, Chrome has just started, and we were not aware. I mean, many of the testers were not aware of Chrome, so we didn't test on Chrome. But down in US, by the time Chrome was very popular, and many of the users were not able to use the application in Chrome, and it was a instant failure. Which means though the product was working on IE, it was not working on Chrome, and many were disappointed by using that particular application. So what is it happening? What do you see here? Is there any gap by the from the client side on setting the expectations, or the requirements, or the requirements were not clear? No tracking of both dev and testing effort, right? So if you see, micromanagement no one likes, but it would be effective or efficient, or it is advisable to closely monitor or review the effort that is done by developers and testers. Not like micromanagement, but there should be some effective review process, right? So all these are few practical problems that happen in the above said development and testing models, right? Apart from this, I would want you to list out any other issues that you found, or who is already working, any other issues that you found in the existing models. Because I see many of you are working and many of you are not working in an agile methodology. So I want you to proactively list out the issues that you're facing in your current model. Let's take 5 minutes of your time, and then can you please list them out? No feedback from client. Excellent point. Excellent point actually. Less time for testing. Okay, a straight question here. So you are not doing test planning? No proper knowledge on business. Yes, correct. BAs are limited with knowledge about product. If I put it right, yes, right. Okay, Anish is saying I'm not working yet, but maybe testing is not being done simultaneously since requirement stage. Okay, no collaboration in few models between tester and the developer. Okay, all right. Limited resources and timeline testing because more time took for development. Hmm. Overlapping time. Okay. Frequent changes and dependencies. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. So nice point again. Issue fixes. Issue fixed will break another piece of code. Nice point. Yes. Okay. Functional requirements are not clear. Yes. Right. Correct. They understand. Okay. Nothing else than this. No. No room for regression testing. Okay. Okay. So to sum it up, right? Okay. Thanks for answering all. So to sum it up, right? One is the most important thing is no feedback from client, or the only model is if we get any production defects, that's where the client will do the noise and will say that the code has not been tested, blah blah blah. So until you get a production defect, everything is fine, and the feedback will be excellent job by the team. That's it, nothing more than that. But when you go to the actual end user, right, the end user feedback is most important. How many of you agree with this and how many disagree? So I see many of you agreeing actually. No one disagreed. That's a good thing, right? So what does that mean for a tester? From testing perspective, what does that mean? What does client feedback mean? Why is it so important for a tester? Just give a single line statement for this. That will help. No errors. Okay. Helps in testing various scenarios. Okay. To ensure is everything is happening accordingly. Satisfaction what they want. Okay. In the future application fails, everybody blames on tester. Okay. Client satisfaction assures that a quality product is made. Testers should be proactive to communicate with client most of the time. to know if the requirement meets. Okay, to summarize up, right, how an end user uses a product, frankly speaking, no one will be aware of, right? It's just the assumption that the product which we are giving will be used by the end user effectively and they will be liking it instantly. Okay, a simple example to give it up to all, right? Hope you all remember the Orkut days. You remember Orkut? Yes? How many say no? Oh, Sarika, you don't remember. Okay. Orkut is an application or a website from Google, okay, which was used for sharing the details among friends and others in the group. Okay, to put it this way, how many of you know Facebook? Right, we all know it, right? So what is the difference between Orkut and Facebook, which made Orkut to extinct and which made Facebook an instant hit? I'm sure both are, yes, both are serving the same purpose. Yes, Van, you had a question? Okay, yeah. So if you see, both of them are serving the same purpose. But what is it happening? Facebook is more user friendly. It's more, what to say, you can understand, or the way you communicate, the way you can share is much easier than Orkut, right? So that's the reason Orkut is now extinct. Now, how does it mean for developers or testers? It's more of marketing thing that should have been done by Orkut, or Google must have changed the look and feel of it. But how does it impact the developers and testers? Why are we bothered about it? The answer is a developer or tester are not the persons who will be just developing or testing the application that is provided by client. They also should give a constructive feedback about the UI, about the way the application is running. It's the part and parcel of the developers and testers as well, right? So you agree with this point? So that's the reason a constant feedback from the end user is also required from developing and testing perspective. All right. Van, you had your hand raised. Any issues? Any questions? If not, just can you message me on chat? I see it raised a couple of times. Oh, all right. Okay. So coming back. So the feedback from the client is most important. And I see many of the projects. In my experience, whenever I see the feedback from the end user and the client, there are testers and developers who do the things more effectively and they start thinking out of the box. And that I have seen in many of the projects. First and foremost thing is feedback. The second is effective test planning. Now, we plan for something, say suppose development should be done by 10th of Jan and testing will start from 12th because deployment will have on 11th and from 12th of Jan we'll be starting testing. So that's the initial plan that was done in any of the waterfall model or agile, in waterfall V model or any other model except for agile. The planning was done this way. So by 10th, the development should happen. Dev should complete and 11th deployment activities happen and 12th the testing team should start. This is the initial plan that is done in this month. So this is December, right? So in the month of December we plan like that. Now in reality, because of some misunderstanding or not clear of the requirements, development went till 15th. Sorry, I'll complete here. So by 20th, testing should complete. Okay, this is the actual planning that was done. But by 15th, the deployment happened. Sorry, the development completed. 16th, deployment happened. Now, how many days effectively we got? 17, 18, 19, and 20. Only 4 days for testing. Earlier, how many days it was? It was 9 days of testing. Now, what is it happening? The testing team lost almost 5 days. Now, if we have to do, if many of you have an idea about risk-based testing, okay. So I don't want to change the production date, and the production date is 21st as defined. It should go on 21st. So now, what is the alternate solution for it? I should do risk-based testing. So how many of you are aware about risk-based testing? Who is not aware, just say no. Okay. So risk-based testing is, I have defined some 100 test cases, okay, of which, okay, let's do this way. So I have a login page that needs to be tested on IE, Chrome, Mozilla, and Safari, and on mobile application as well, and in the mobile also, from mobile browser as well. Okay, so these are the 5 areas that I need to test. So I wrote 20 test cases each, so I got 100 test cases. So this 100 test cases it should be done in, say, suppose 5 days for one resource. Okay, now because the development was delayed, I just got only 2 days of testing. Okay, now tell me, if the product has to go live, can I test all the 100 test cases in 2 days? No, right? So what's the solution for it? Ideally, one browser and one mobile browser testing will ensure the product is okay to release with some riders defined. So while we are releasing it to production, we will say that, hey, we have this browser working and the mobile one browser is working. So please work out or use this particular browser for this application. In the next release, we will be able to add few more browsers. Okay. So what is it happening? Earlier, my requirement was to have the application on all the 5 browsers, but now I am confined to only 2 browsers, which is a last minute change I am doing. Now the impact analysis, how other teams are involved, I'm little bothered about it. And for sure, you will have to align the deployment team, the development team. Why development team? Because the code has other browsers also, right? Other browsers code as well, right? So the development team has to remove that particular code, right? Why deployment team? Deployment team should also be aware, right? What are the components that are to be installed? Components to be installed and to be excluded, right? So these teams should be involved as well. So when you have this bad planning happening, the other teams are also involved, which will, if it's an offshore onshore model, it is it's inevitable that there might be some lapses and you might be panicked, right? Or the entire team will get panicked, right? So the solution for this all kind of issues is Agile methodology. Okay, so I didn't discuss about the other issues as well, but if you see, frequent changes uh, will also result in change in testing plan. I mean, the time allocated for development and testing, obviously, right? And then there's a lot of dependencies. There's no overlapping time. Okay, and issues that might affect the other pieces of code, that analysis you might not be able to do nor in the other modules, right? So say suppose, okay, this point we'll have to discuss in detail. Say suppose there's a DB change, database change. This will impact UI as well, right? Now DB team has changed it and it was not communicated in the same release. It is communicated in the next release. Or the project manager who is taking care of DB change has not communicated to the other teams, UI teams. So obviously the piece of code will fail, right? And it happens because, say suppose the release is planned that this release 1 will take care of UI changes, release 2 will take care of DB changes, release 3 will take care of both collaborating UI and DB. Now UI has been developed, DB while developing they found that there's an issue with it and they have changed the entire look and feel or the architecture of the database. Now while doing third, it is easy to collaborate, but whatever effort that is done in the release 1 for UI, it is wasted, right? So obviously there's a lot of issue, right? I mean there's some gap in the design, and that collaboration is not happening in this particular model, right? So that's one issue. So in order to resolve all these issues, the solution is defined as Agile methodology, where we have small release cycles and the or the requirements are divided into user stories, small user stories, smaller user stories, and all the teams meet to discuss the status slash progress, to analyze the impact and agree upon the solution as well as the plan to get this done. Even if it is a last minute change, the impact will be analyzed and course of action will be discussed in consent with the all stakeholders. So that's agile on a high level. Okay, Van, again I see your hand raised. All right, so any questions so far? Van, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, you got any question, Van? If no, can you please ping on the chat, please? It's confusing every time you raise your hand. Is it okay? All right. So and so far so good. Any questions? All right. So So to sum it up from the process front, what's the primary difference between waterfall, agile, and agile is it can be defined as quality. How do you control the quality? Continuous improvement, and the risk, the postmortem or retrospection. So if you classify on these areas, first and foremost thing is quality. We cannot say that waterfall doesn't assure you the quality. Both waterfall and agile gives the quality, but problem is it is done at the end of each cycle. Like analysis is done, then you will get it, then design, then code, then test. But here everyone is involved in agile, right? So that's the reason you will have at each phase the quality will be in focus. So how do you know in the quality of the product? Only after testing it, right? In waterfall product. But here the emphasis is on each and every phase of the testing or development. So that's the reason you can find quality at every stage. So to break it up, all the teams are involved in the agile methodology, right? And we are not saying that in waterfall model all the teams are not involved, but the collaboration is not that great in waterfall. If you see both the teams, development and testing, or even the environment build and team will be doing in parallel. Okay, only upon one team completing, the other team will start. Okay, so the quality lies only after testing is done. Yes, Kalavani, you had a question. All right. So that's about quality. Now the quality control. Okay. From testing perspective, a question to you all. A defect found in requirement stage is more advantageous than a defect found in the testing phase. Which one is more uh, uh, what do you say, useful or more suggestible? Yes, the first one. So a defect found in the requirement stage itself is a cost effective way of doing the testing, right? So I'm not again telling you that in waterfall model you might not find it, but there are every chances that because of requirements being changed, or the look and feel that a developer might be developing, or the process or the flow of the requirement, only once you see the actual requirement, then only we will be able to see the defect, right? So that's the problem in from the quality control perspective. So in agile, you will have these flow or the mockups that are clearly defined. Okay, because even the BA is involved, right? So you will be able to discuss the flow. And I'm saying that there are chances that we will miss it even in agile also, but there's a probability that we can find that particular defect in the early stage in agile. All right. Now continual improvement. Say suppose I have development done and testing also done, both in agile and waterfall. Now in waterfall, have you ever, or in any other model like V model or incremental or iterative or spiral model, have you ever done some introspective analysis or any feedback that you took from the entire team? Usually we don't do in this, but in agile, right? It's imperative, or we have to do it mandatorily. The lessons learned from the previous sprint. So we'll have to implement those. So there will be Scrum Master who will be noting all these points. So in release 1 or sprint 1, these are the lessons learned. So if the same issue comes in sprint 2, or when we are doing the lessons learned review that is happening in sprint 2, we will also list out the same issues. Now Scrum Master will match the lessons or the issues that were found in sprint 1 with the sprint 2, and if there is no change, we will try, or he will try to push the change at least in the sprint 3. Okay, But whereas in other models, we don't have that facility, or we don't do that at least. Okay. Risk. Risk is found only during the testing phase, generally. While developing, right, developers will develop, but while testing, that's when we actually find the risk. Like, say, suppose this link might not be working, or this is not how the customers have to go into the next page or going to the next part of the application. Whereas in Agile, you will know the complete flow. Then you can find, then you can easily find the risks that are that can pop up or crop up during the course of testing. So you will try to mitigate that, or you will escalate it during the daily status meetings or daily status calls or Scrum calls, and you will be able to get the solution for it at the earliest stage itself. Okay. Postmortem or retrospection, it happens after every release in Waterfall. Whereas here, at the end of every meeting, for the every what do you say sprint, you will be doing. Like, as I said, I have a master requirement. A release is divided into 3 or 4 sprints in Agile. In Waterfall model, it's one complete release, which is say suppose a duration of 3 months. Now at the end of 3 months only, I'll be able to find out what went wrong. Whereas in Agile, as it is divided into 20-day sprint, so 3 months is almost 6 sprints. So at the end of each sprint, I'll be able to do it. So say suppose in third sprint itself, I found the defect, I'm able to resolve it. So that's the postmortem or retrospection. Asha is asking, the developers are also responsible for unit testing in waterfall model. So that doesn't help. Why is firefighting only in testing phase? Okay. So when you say about unit testing, right? Unit testing is more from the development perspective. It's more of code level, what do you say? Code level verification. Or say suppose a Gmail application is there. If I click on inbox, I should see all the inbox mails. If I click on sent mail, I should see the all sent mails. So that's the only type of testing they'll be doing from the unit testing perspective. But from testing perspective, what we'll do is, if we have more than 20,000 emails, am I able to see the pagination? Am I able to go to the last page? What is the speed of going to the last page? Do I have the link for last page, or to go to the, say suppose there are 50 pages, can I go to the 30th page directly? So these are all my testing activities, but these are not done by the developers, right? So the testing they are doing while unit testing is a limited testing. Okay, hope it answered your question, Pash. And last but not least is customer feedback is done at the end of every sprint in Agile, whereas in Waterfall or any other model, it's done at the end of the release or product. Okay, so this is more of high level differences between development and testing done using Waterfall model and Agile. Okay, so this is it about today on the Agile testing or Agile methodology. Tomorrow we'll discuss about the different types of Agile methodologies. We got Scrum, XP, Kanban. So we'll discuss about these models, and an extension of Agile is continuous integrations. This we'll also discuss. Okay, and just give a glimpse about what goes in a Scrum meeting or Scrum model. All right. So I'm open for questions. Any questions, please? Yes, Nupur.
What is the most popular form of testing?
These days, Agile is the most popular form of testing. Again, it all depends on the type of product we are developing. Say suppose Amazon is there. Amazon got the application available in many of the countries, and the development happens. And if you see, the website for Amazon India will differ and Amazon US will differ, right? So
Mhm.
say suppose there are multiple, and obviously there are multiple teams that are involved: database, data warehouse, UI, PA, deployment team. Now, if you see, there are almost 6,000 to 7,000 deployments that happen in a day in Amazon, which means for every second, for every 1 minute, you have at least 3 to 4 deployments happening parallelly. So in that kind of environment, both developers, testers, deployment has to do an active collaboration. So there they will use agile methodology. But if you take any
Thank
banking
you.
project where the
Mm-hmm.
product release will happen at least after 6 months, every 6 months, you don't need an
Mm-hmm.
agile methodology. So it depends on the type of process we are following or the type of project we are seeing. Okay.
Thank you.
What is the normal size of an agile team? It usually is divided by the product actually. I saw a agile team having more than 100. I saw an agile team which is just 10 to 15 members. So it all depends on the type of product we are doing. Nupur, you had a question again?
Yeah, I had a question. If because the agile methodology is so fast and robust, so why are testers needed here when the developer can, develop a code and immediately, test it? So, I mean, why are even testers needed in agile, project
No,
like
no, no.
agile?
Developers will be, they'll not do the entire functional testing, right? They'll be doing the unit testing. Okay. And
Okay.
obviously, a third pair of eye is always good for any type. I mean, for any product that is being developed. So testers are required. But the only
Okay.
advantage is uh, in development or in testers, sorry, from development perspective, they are clear about what should be developed at least. So that's where
Okay.
I mean, there's a value
Okay.
addition from development perspective also.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
When you had a question, all right. Any other questions, please? All right. Database session is next week, Khadija. Yes, Komal. I think you have to unmute yourself. Okay. How do they decide which methodology they want to go with? As I said earlier, right? It all depends on the type of product you are developing. Okay. And the amount of risk you are ready to take. Okay. So that defines the methodology client wants to go with. Selenium live project, it will start after half an hour consent. How much importance in documentation in agile testing? That's the most important thing in agile. In agile, you don't have a detailed requirement document. In agile, you don't write big test cases. You will write only test scenarios. In agile, you will not have the release notes or the reports that are developed in a bigger way. So there's a little importance for documentation. More emphasis will be on documenting the lessons learned, documenting the issues that were found and how was they overcome. Emphasis will be on a single line effective way of writing an user story. So there's a little importance for documentation in agile testing. That way, the effort is not wasted actually. And if you see on an average, 5% of testing or development effort goes in documentation. So it will be cut short. So that's where if you see, if you have a, if you are part of the test management tool, Jira and ALM we did. So for Agile, what is the best tool you think? Jira, because it's more of user story definition, right? So all the commentary is given in Jira, whereas in ALM you don't have that, right? Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, there's a question. Apart from Jira tool, is there any famous tool for Agile? Snagit is one such tool. Bugged, Bonfire are other tools, but many of people will use only Jira. Okay. Is client and BA also involved in every phase of testing along with testers and developers? Yes, that's the beauty of Agile, right? So everyone will be involved in the daily Scrum meetings. Is there any disadvantage of Agile model? Hmm. Actually, this is a little disadvantage. On a high level, if you see, it's an advantage as well. But the only disadvantage we see is there's a too much involvement of all the teams. Okay, say there's no change that is happening in Agile. Okay, BA doesn't need to come into the call during the development or testing, right? When the requirements are clear, there's no point of having client and BA in all the Scrum meetings, right? So that's a disadvantage. But if you see, it gives a feel good for the client and BA that everyone is on track. It's both advantages and disadvantages. All right. How much automation testing can be done in Agile methodology? That's the Scrum Master's headache, actually, frankly speaking, because the thumb rule for automation testing is only when the product is stable or when you are doing a regression testing. When a product is under development, there's no point of doing automation. But I have seen many projects where proactive automation will be done, where while development is happening, you will write this test scripts for automation also, which is waste of time. But when it is a smaller cycle or when the code is very stable, that's what the purpose of Agile, right? So we will be automating on a blind, and then we'll be. It's like uh, actually Karthik will be the correct person to give, but you know that keyword driven framework, right? Where you know what is the element that will be present. Obviously, say suppose I got login page, login text box is there, so I know it would be present on the top left or in the middle of the page, right? So my keyword here will be the text box. So I'll be writing based on that proactively. So that one type of automation, when I was working with Microsoft, we used to do that. I mean, the automation team used to do that well before the code has been deployed or tested. But generally, suggestible way is to automate only once the build is stable or the product is stable or while doing the regression test. Hope it answered your question, Sumitra. All right. Any other questions, team? Okay. I don't see any other questions. So we'll join back tomorrow and we'll be discussing about the different types of agile methodologies we got. Okay. Also, we'll discuss about what goes into agile. So what is a user story? How is it defined? So on and so forth. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining today's session, and we'll share this video in a couple of hours of time. Okay. Thank you. See you. Bye bye. Good night and good day.